Hello people, and welcome back to part 45 of the Noobs Guide to City Skylines. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And you know, the longer I look at these new roads, the happier I become. Just so good. Just so good. Yes, cycle around person, cowboy cyclist. Wonder where you're going actually. You're going to the train station? Airline lounge, very nice, taking the train over there. But either way everyone, welcome back to the Noobs Guide. Thank you all for support last week. You guys very much enjoyed our high density vanilla road network frame that is now going to house today's build, which is of course the Skyline. So we're going to be using a lot of the new Skyscrapers content creator stuff that came last week. Some really nice assets in here, and it's going to be really interesting to see how the new kind of style of Skyline compares to an older style vanilla unique building one, which we have of course in New York already. So it should be a really fun project today. I love building these things. Probably my favourite thing to do in City Skylines, I think, is piecing together a very distinctive skyline. It's something that all of my cities have had, and something that I always strive for. It's always like the cherry on the top of the cake, I think, isn't it? The skyline. So, let's do a new one. I'm very excited. Talk about how we can create a realistic skyline in Vanilla City Skyline, shall we? So, very much like last week, I'd like today's episode to kind of function as a flow of conscious thought as to how we piece together these larger skylines. So I'm going to start off with my key asset, which in this case is going to be the tallest one. And this is going to be the Six River Center. I'm going to place this right in the heart of the frame, and that's going to serve as kind of a center peak for my skyline. Now I very much want to start descending down around all sides of it. So we want to be making sure we're choosing appropriate buildings for that sort of thing to unfold. So let's go ahead and find, I like this one, the Saint Denis Tower. It's got the little Leto Electronics logo on the bottom of it. Why don't we have that one there? You can see now we're starting to create that descent. It's something that we want to respect around all angles of the skyline today. Now let's go ahead and find some assets to sit on this main pedestrian road, because of course this is going to be a really sort of important looking area of the city. Let's go ahead and see what we can find. Why don't we have one Galveston on the corner right here? Well, it is going to need a pedestrian area to function, isn't it? So we might as well paint out the pedestrian area to go all the way around these parts, because it will all be pedestrianised. There we go. Tremendous. So I'm pretty happy with that. Yes, we'll give them water in a second as well. And then I think I'd almost like a mirrored asset to sit opposite that. Why don't we go with one Montgomery on that corner there too? Right, and there we go. It's already starting to build up, isn't it? They look so good. Fine Boulders done. Just probably the best content creator pack, I think, this one. To have such realistic towers in the game makes a massive difference for Vanilla Skylines. And just look at the approach we have here already. Some 4 assets, especially with the pedestrian tram road. Oh my goodness everyone, this is going to be a lot of me forming over towers and trams today. There might not be too much of a tutorial in this episode, we'll have to wait and see. Either way, let's carry on piecing things together. So I think I'm happy with this. So we did mention during the construction of the road network frame that we kind of have sort of Central Park. And I'd like to see if we can do something pretty interesting with a bit of orientation and some open greenbelt space here, and it's very much going to form part of the skyline too. So there's a really cool looking skyscraper that's come with this pack, and this is the National Trade Center. It just so happens to fit perfectly, which of course, as we know, is law in City Skylines that if something fits, then it has to sit. So we'll draw that across. For some reason we're getting that as a bridge. I don't know why that's happening. Are you okay? Is that because the building is there? Must be. How very weird. Okay, it's fine though. Never mind that. So we can have this big tower up here, okay? It's going to want a pedestrian road as well, of course. And then, of course, we're going to upgrade the tree as well. So respecting a sightline is something that can be very powerful in a downtown in terms of just creating a vibe. And I'm going to do this here as an example with my pedestrian tram street and some palm-lined pedestrian road outside of that tower. And we're going to create a really powerful sort of vibe down here just by having the trams head right toward this tower here. So think about a sightline, you know, we did something similar in 5B as well for those that are following that series. In terms of like building a park opposite another major park. So it's worth considering, I think. Anyway, let's come back to our pedestrian roads. So let's go for large pedestrian bluestone with trees. Now if we can bring this down by... off the guideline temporarily. Can we do a distance of 5 out each way? Is that going to be respectful? Then that's like maybe 4 curve, isn't it? And then we can have that in there. Now I would like to have a snapping node so we can do it like that, and I think the only way to do that is to do it as a complete curve. But let's try that instead then. Let's do the curve back this way. We'll hit the guideline. Bring that up. Make it somewhat like that, and then can we grab the version with grass? And then we can connect that into there. And then this develops as a really nice open walkable plaza space here, doesn't it? Okay. Then I think let's just carry on designing this plaza. Let's go ahead and line all of these little edges here with a lot of wild hedge. And then throw in a few little jacarandas in there too. And then what we're left with is this really kind of landscape looking corporate garden at the foot of one of our new towers here. Especially when we choose the right tower as well, because this one's got all like the stairs and the glass on the bottom of it. Really cool. Super happy with that, I think. There we go. So really cool sightline respected within the skyline itself. Okay. And some nice little landscape gardens here too, I think also. It'd be rude not to just throw in a little bit of rock gardens in here as well, wouldn't it? Realised we're supposed to be starting a Skyline episode today, and about 5 minutes into the episode, building a rock garden. Welcome to the channel, everyone. Right, well that's tremendous. I think there's also something else we can do to further reinforce the Skyline here, and that's to bring in a pedestrian area plaza. And why don't we try and go for maybe one of these little glass roof numbers? I'm totally averse to that. I don't think I am. I think I'm happy with that. I think what I'd also like to do here with the pedestrian bus road, I've just kind of noticed a little flaw in the system with the sort of one-way system here, is that if they want to cut across the city, then they can't, because this is pedestrian only road. So I think what we will do to help the traffic flow there is actually upgrade this into the 4-lane with bus lanes. And then we'll have that one there, so that should be a nice easy cut through for cars. But definitely a fan of having the pedestrian glass roof plaza here. It's going to serve as a nice bit of sort of functional plaza space at the base of these very tall and very shadowed towers in this map. The shadows are very strong. Building almost ceases to exist in the shade. But there you go. Okay, it's coming together so far, isn't it? Not too bad. Let's continue to have a look at some more towers now anyway. It's happening, everyone. People are using the tram pedestrian roads. Finally.
You're an air duct.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down! No!
What a sight. what a wonderful sight to behold this is, isn't it? Welcome to 2022 City Skylines, everyone. Oh, I love the trams. Love them. Okay, anyway, we need to build a skyline. So let's carry on picking out some larger assets now. So let's go for some of our taller towers. So why don't we have this one? Possibly facing here. Go for the Galstrom Tower. Being happy with that. However, I can now see, because of the way I position the assets, that perhaps these two here want to switch their positions. So let's do that. It's just going to be a mad expensive episode as well. We're going to burn through Noob Yoke's economy. Right, and then let's have this one here. And that should hopefully give us a slightly nicer aesthetic. Yeah, I'm a much bigger fan of that now, respecting that natural descent down from the highest point of the skyline. Very nice indeed. Let's come ahead and find out another one. I'm quite keen to use these flat wide boys. A little bit of a thunderous gentleman tower if we like. If we can find it. Yes, it's these ones here. So where could we put you? Oh, you're a perfect squeeze in there, aren't you? Can we deny that? There is another one as well. Yes, this one. Oh, there's so many nice ones though. So good. Okay, let's go for the Torre Conde Joaquim. Am I pronouncing that right? Probably not. But if we can have that there. That's quite a nice sort of flat base to the rest of the tower, isn't it? We're going to get quite an important looking sort of road here, having the skyscraper right against the pavement. It's going to continue to respect this very kind of heavy corporate plaza vibe that we have going on around this end. Very tasteful. I'm really enjoying it. So now that I've seen this tower come in, the Torre one, I want to see if we can place in its sister building at kind of a switched angle. So I'm going to place it in here. Okay, so this is essentially just a larger version, but I think we can create something quite cool here. So let's come across with a pedestrian road with grass. It's just it wants to snap in there, doesn't it? So close. It's so close. I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to have to delete that pedestrian road temporarily. Let's bring it across into the middle. Then we'll bring the tram road back up and then reinstate that connection. There we go, that's fine. And then I want this to cut across and join up with the street again. And then with that in place, we can then flip this tower onto that orientation. And that should give us a very kind of distinctive look, especially around the base of this kind of central pedestrian area here. It's so dark in the shade. I might need to change some of my graphics settings here. But it works, right? I think I'm on board with that. And it also continually adds to the skyline as well, which is always appreciated. Cool, so let's start developing some bulk around these areas over here. So, in multiple places in and around the towers, I think I'd like to have an elevated pedestrian walking pathway. So this is going to be quite the kind of eccentric design, but I think we can pull it off. Again, that's so weird that I'm getting that. It would appear that if you try drawing a network, on some angles next to these towers, it forces it into a bridge. Which is very weird for vanilla. I'm not sure if we've stumbled upon something there. It was happening earlier, wasn't it, with the pedestrian road? Very weird. Never noticed it before, but either way, I'd like to have this elevated pedestrian walk system that essentially kind of flanks around most angles of the towers. So I want to kind of draw in a base sort of structure for this design first of all. Let's go ahead and bring it across the street here. It would be good to maybe have another connection onto it here, and then we can fill this space with perhaps another tower. And then this one over here can, if it extend down, it can carry on, and then it will have another tower here. It can come down this way, link back up with itself before providing another connection over here. So just by having this kind of interlinked skywalk throughout the entire downtown, I'm hoping that it's just going to help keep a lot of people off of the roads. We'll see how it performs, and then if it works, what we can do is just keep expanding out, you know, different areas of this and letting it grow around, you know, different particular parts of the city. Maybe it comes back over here and, you know, drops down by the side of our larger 6 River Center tower. So you're not even going to notice it's there once the skyline is in, but as a practice, I'd like to give it a go, just see how it performs. So I've got that in, just a nice little elevated skywalk that flows around my grid. Come back and find some towers now. So we've got this one as well, the poly building. This sounds good. Let's go ahead and get this one in. That's going to fit perfectly there, isn't it? That's a nice little happy accident. And then there's lots of bush and tree detail we can have around here. This is where surface painter would be so helpful for the vanilla game. Just be able to fill in spaces like this, but we can do trees and bushes, sort of more landscaped plaza gardens is the vibe we're trying to create here. Cool, so let's go ahead and find some more towers. So the marble center is a significant big boy, isn't it? And he's actually going to fit perfectly in that space there with my elevated pedestrian walk. Take away from the skyline too much, absolutely fine with those additions. And do make sure you keep coming to check from kind of your money shot angle. You know, my money shot angle here is like the sprawl in the suburbs, and that's already looking really cool, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Oh, happy egg everyone. Yes, that's looking really nice already. And indeed, looking at it from further away can help you identify some points where maybe you want a bit more bulk. I can definitely say maybe want some more towers here. Okay. Well, let's keep browsing. This is the best episode. Let's keep going on what we have to play with. So there's a smaller version of this one here, isn't it? So I'd ideally like not to place the smaller versions too close to the big version, having done that here, but I think it's appropriate with the design. I don't want to do that everywhere, otherwise it will become very obvious that they're all the same asset. So let's see where we can place this one. This one's quite wide, isn't it? Oh, it almost fit there. That's a shame. It will fit there though. So that's where it's going to go. Tremendous. So we're starting to come down again this side now. I'm happy with that. Continue to browse our towers. So again, we've got some real tall, sort of thick glass boys here as well that I'd like to work with if at all possible. Why don't we have that one there? So that one's the Tor Bellini. Isn't that some sort of Italian tower, is it? Just based on the word Bellini. I'm not sure, that could be wrong. But there we go, people heading into the skyline now. I don't mind that it just kind of pops back up again here. It's not too much of a jump and sort of a natural flow. And then from this side we're pretty happy too. So you do get a little bit of a weirdness with some of these towers with the way it sort of moves around. I'm pretty sure that's just my graphic settings that causes that, but we'll see if we can change it. So the Europeterum also looks like it's going to fit in perfectly there. Again, it can't be denied, so we have to put it in. I was just wondering, are you the same depth? Do we want to maybe move the police station and have the Europeterum there? I think we probably do. Yeah, that's a little bit better, isn't it? Yes, that's a much nicer descent down there now. I'm happy with that one. We could even switch these two around to Saint Denis. I know I did just mention that I like the height, but I think if we do want to respect a continual crawl down in architecture, I think that's the better option, isn't it? Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for that one. Very cool. So let's continue to browse what else we have available. This one is a significant size. I think maybe we'd like this one over here. Let's start adding some towers into this side now, because it's all a bit naked around here. Are you going to respect my pathway? Yes, you are. That's the MLM Center. Do we like you? Well, you're tall. You're very tall. Which I don't mind. I don't mind that. I say that as I'm staring at a skyline of super tall skyscrapers. So I don't know why I sound so surprised, but it works. It works, I think. Yeah. On board with it. It's going to plug a nice gap in the skyline there too and not totally overwhelm our sort of skyline peak point, if we like. We've got the smaller version of the marble building here. And this looks like it might squeeze in near perfectly between my towers and everything else. Tremendous, look at that. So we can have that on the pedestrian road. And then we're going to get this happening when we start to piece the towers together like this. So there's this little walkway that comes up. And then hopefully we're going to see some people using it. You could even turn it into a cycleway as well if you wanted to. That'd be a nice way to get some extra people cycling. Especially if you're not using cycling roads on the ground. There we go though, they are using it. I think once we've got a bunch of zoning down here by the waterfront, they should become a bit more active. I guess we'll find out. So just continuing to scout out some towers. I think I'm going to go with the Hinode headquarters to sit about here. It's not going to be too bad. So I really want to start coming down now, because we're going to have a bit of zoning here, and of course the zoned assets aren't anywhere near as tall as their sort of larger counterparts. So I think I actually might prefer the smaller version of that building, just because that one's a little bit dominant. And I know that at this point here, as we come down towards the beach, I do want to start coming down in size now. I think we'll go with the smaller one. It's nice that they do have smaller ones in. It really helps with things like that. And then we've got maybe one more tower here. Let's go ahead and place that in the corner there. It's not going to be too bad. We're slowly starting to descend down now. I think again, I'd like maybe a couple of smaller towers down this side if we can find some. Why don't we go for tower at 41? Is that going to be alright? I think it's too bad, is it? I'm pretty happy with the skyline now as it's beginning to form. We've got some like nice kind of centres of density in there. I think I'm happy with it. Then we've got that kind of little gap in the green belt space here, where it sort of flows out and into this nice little open park space, which is getting used now. Very nice indeed. We probably want to actually keep the pedestrian road going through there as well, don't we? Why don't we extend that connection onto the pedestrian road? There we go. That's going to make more sense, isn't it? Keep more people walking. There's our bus now. Change the bus model too. We've got buses coming through the downtown using our bus lane, which is great. Tremendous. Metro coming through the middle of all these towers as well, which should look really cool here. There we go. That's so cool. Amazing. Very nice. Very nice. But otherwise, I think for the main skyline configuration, in terms of using the uniques, I'm pretty happy with this. It's a nice shape. We've got some crawls down in height here. And it looks pretty nice from most angles too. You can imagine once we've got our modern mid-century housing, or yes, that's what it is there, the more of all the pools, we're going to have a really cool view up to sort of the second skyline over here too. We can check it out from a couple of the suburbs. It's going to look really cool. And then even actually, the ultimate viewpoint here is going to be from the Brandenburg Gate Country Estate, which we used over here, of course, and we can get a view. Really blends in, doesn't it? It makes downtown look a lot bigger. You can't really tell that the airport is actually separating the two skylines from here. But what a wonderful addition of density. How much more realistic is the new one compared to the old sort of vanilla unit buildings? Yeah, once we come to start a new city, everyone, we have so many more tools at our disposal now. It's crazy how much of a difference plazas and the skyscrapers has made to building sort of high density downtown areas. What a game changer. Truly wonderful. Oh, and there we go with the airport in the foreground too. Yes, please. Yes, please, everyone. Alright, anyway, that's enough skyline fawning. Let's come in now into the inner cities and start talking about some different types of zoning before we move into a detail and time-lapse. So the skyscrapers are in, which is fantastic, but it doesn't make up our entire downtown, of course. It's made up of many more different things. So I'd like to try out some different ideas together. First of all, I think just a regular bit of generic high-density commercial zoning should be okay here against the train line and the in-city bus station, so we'll let that grow and see what develops. As one of our towers burns down. There we go. There it is. Looked pretty cool on fire, to be fair. Anyway, let's carry on. So in terms of other zonings, let's go ahead and draw ourselves out a little mini district. Let's do it maybe a little bit over here as well. We'll sort of extend the district up this way. And we might as well do it there too. So once we've got that in, let's go ahead and change its style to Modern City Centre. Now we can specifically zone Modern City Centre quite effectively because there's a lot of repeated assets, but we're not playing with perfect 10 by 10 grids here, which is fine. So what we will do is draw in some specific zoned 4x4 spaces on the corners first of all. We don't need to with this one because it's not a corner area. Make sure that's fully encapsulated. And then, yes, we can already see the asset growing in there. It's got a little ghost thing above it, hasn't it? There's some really nice corner buildings in the Modern City Centre pack. And you can get them in perfect blocks as well if you want to. Is there an example of where we can show this off? I don't think I have any perfect blocks left, do I? They've all got towers in them now. I could bring another one down here though, I suppose this one would work. Okay, let's do that then. Let's go ahead and amend that walking elevated downtown skywalk design. Come on to road length. And let's bring it back down to earth. Wonderful. And then within this space here, we can do another little block of Modern City Centre. Let's go ahead and change it up. And then we want to do very specific 4x4 blocks here. There we go. That's what we want. So a lot of these assets are perfect for me. I'm going to stick with these against the road. Probably wait for this one to upgrade. This one looks really good. If you get it in its repeated block on its own, it looks a little bit kind of jarring. It's a bit of a change, so we'll wait for that one to upgrade. Okay, let's go ahead and place some parks down as well, of course. Let's go ahead and increase land value for these guys. Let's see, where could we possibly squeeze in a little park number here? Why don't we go for there? That probably should actually carry my electricity now, so we don't need the earthquake sensor there anymore. Tremendous. Let's see what's going over here. Yes, there we go. So we got our first two assets in. And then once we've got those in together, we can just do another specific batch of 4x4. If you are playing on the PC, strongly recommend just downloading Ploppable Rico, just to be able to place in the exact assets you want as part of your skyline. It really does make a difference. There we go. And then in come the last two. Let's go ahead and make these both historical. And then there we go. We shall just have a little block of commercial in there that is Modern City Centre, but starts to crawl down from our larger skyscrapers, I think. I think we're going to be happy with that. And then we can let these two grow up to be a variety of different things. We'll also fill you out, and then we'll fill you as well. So if you do have the opportunity to get those corner assets in, you can see the impact it has. It's very nice, it's very commercial, it's very downtown appropriate, so definitely worth factoring in. Cool, alright. So I'd also like to try out some new Hearts of Korea stuff, because we've got some new low density options. So I'm going to paint out a little block here. Let's go ahead and trim it up, and then we want to change this to become Heart of Korea. And then a lot of low density residential here. So I'm just going to mass zone this up and just see what happens, because we've never played with this pack before. So we'll see what grows in, and then just see how sort of organic and appropriate it looks. We might need to give a little bit of a breakwater here between the metro station and the residential. Otherwise it might be a bit too intense. We're getting a lot of these sort of big 4x4 blocks in, aren't we? They do like to spawn in, it would seem. It doesn't look bad. There's a lot of repeated assets. There's a lot of white tower in there, isn't there? It would appear that building does like to spawn in, and then a lot of red brick tower on the flip side of that. Is there only 2 assets that come with this pool? I'm sure there's more. It just seems to be getting the same one over and over again. Let's go ahead and draw the pipes in. Okay. I don't hate it. It's definitely a nice little addition at the bottom of the tower there, isn't it? Or the bottom of the skyline. Nice sort of sensible crawl up. Love that sight line down to that main tower too from here. That's very nice. People leaving the city this way now as well, which is good. Glad to see them actually using this road back out of the city. Important that we set that up, otherwise they'd all be bottlenecking through this tunnel. Cool. Alright though, we're getting some modern city centre growing up here now. Again, I want to let these kind of Parisian looking corner assets disappear if we can. But I'm going to be generally on board with that, I think. Okay, so let's come down and set up some more sort of mini districts, if we like. Let's go ahead and create one over this area. And then let's do a IT cluster specialization this time. And then we're just going to draw in bulk of office zoning. And then we're just going to let a variety of IT cluster assets spawn in, again, which would help us create a little bit of a natural crawl down from the dark side of the skyline. Oh my god. I don't remember the shadows ever being this strong anywhere else in Nubio. I wonder if it's just the new assets. I'm not sure. Cool, but there we go. We're getting some nice commercial vibes developing here now. Down our downtown streets, aren't we? As we sit here in the shadow of the towers here, and you can see them down. Down to this one where we did place in our sort of spammed plaza pattern, which sort of pulls off really nicely now, like once it's surrounded by all these towers. You get that weird kind of like corporate centre vibe, don't you? It's really cool. That elevated skywalk adding another little layer of height into the downtown as well. Very happy with that. Cool. And then we do have some spaces like this, again, Surface Painter would be fantastic, but I think what we will end up doing is just going for some simple or live oak patterns just to help hide a little bit of the bluntness. Okay, maybe get some palms and larger trees in there as well if we want, but just a repeated tree line to help things settle in a little bit more, I think. Many people using the skywalk yet? There's a few of them, it's not doing too badly. I'm definitely hoping it's going to get busier. But we will of course wait and see. So, let's have a look at the noise pollution from these towers. It's not too bad. High density can definitely withstand that. So we've got some nice solid zonings here. So why don't we do something with this? Let's come in with another district. We'll paint this out just across this one. And then we're going to do a green cities specialization. And then I'd like a lot of high density in these solid blocks over here. So we can do some appropriate fence work here to help fix the zonings in vanilla. So where we get fractured spaces like this where an older network has joined a new one and it's tried to create a new grid formation and it's fractured. If we just draw in little fence here from Part Life or Industries, whichever one you want, it will correct the zonings. If it kind of snaps it off awkwardly again, then you can continue to correct it just by drawing in these fences, and it will reset the zoning squares into something a little bit more sensible, hopefully. There we go, we can draw it across. Now we get those flush ones, and then I want this to be all green cities, high density residential. Do the same thing over here again as well. It's going to re-snap it into a much more friendly sort of shape zoning. And then I think that the green city stuff, which I'm not going to make historical because I want them to grow taller, should give us a nice kind of crawl down out of the skyline here, whilst also bringing in some residential zoning into the downtown too. And as you can go through repeated patterns if you want, I don't think I'm going to this time. Although, that's a very nice one. I can't refuse that, that's perfect. Thank you very much. Wonderful. Another one there as well would actually be perfect, but it's going to grow a different size, isn't it? Alright, but there we go. We've created a natural little crawl down there using some modern city centre and some green cities towers, which again we're going to allow to grow freeform. I want an organic skyline here. Cool. A little bit of water problems over here, but let's see how things are settling in. So just some happy commercials along here. There's no horrendous, massively offensive assets that I'm going to delete. I think I'm pretty happy with most of those. Yeah, that's not too bad. There goes the airport transfer train. Yes, please. There we go. There's an intercity train as well coming into the station. Lots of people love the Glassbox train station. We don't use this asset nearly enough. It's probably like my favourite train station, I think. But lots of people coming out of it and spilling out into the downtown here, and they've got a wonderful approach into the skyline here, haven't they? Or using my pedestrian pathways. Yes, please. Crossing the road into the downtown. Traffic's perfect though. Traffic's wonderful. The benefit of setting up those frames last episode, everyone. You can see now that people are making use of the one-way system. Siphons people away. Public transport's flowing. So do go check out last episode if you're looking to set up a frame before you start playing with this much density, because it will get banned very quickly if you don't. Cool, so I'm pretty sure these guys are going to start whinging of noise pollution at some point, unless they're more resistant, because they're next to a tram and a metro stop, but I don't know. We'll find out. Although you're kind of annoying, I would rather you guys regrow as like a singular block. Cool, you're okay. I think I'm happy with the Korea stuff there. There's a lot of repeated assets in it, isn't there? There really is. I actually wonder if we should perhaps extend this district up here, and because it's Hearts of Korea, we can start playing with some further high-density commercial designs. So let's just do a 4 deep zoning of Hearts of Korea and see what happens. We'll see what comes in against our metro station here. Which is not too many people using the cycling yet. Hopefully as things will sort of grow down here, that will kick in. Find out. Okay, so there's a lot of our Hearts of Korea stuff again. We're getting a lot of repeatable assets. Do these level up or are they singular level? They do level up, okay. Same for you as well? Yeah, okay, so you're probably all going to change at some point. But we do get a lot of the same asset in upon a mass zone of the Hearts of Korea stuff, it would appear. Which I don't mind, I don't think. I think I'm okay with it. It sits nicely at the foot of the skyline as a little bit of high rise. And then you can imagine transitioning to some like lower density here. So then you've got like a real crawl back up into the skyline. Love how the metro station sits over the road there too. That's a really nice road. With that station there, isn't it? Very cool, look at that. That's really nice. Okay, yeah, we'll leave the Hearts of Korea stuff in there. We'll leave it to grow on us and see what happens, of course. Let's go ahead and fill out the rest of that back zone in there. Awesome. And then let's just not specialise for a time being. Let's just do some actual zoning. So we'll just go for a couple of little blocks of high density commercial along these spaces. Let things grow up. Cool, let's have a look at our IT cluster. We seem to be okay. Yeah, we've got one of the taller towers in there, haven't we? I don't think that's a bad little collection for IT cluster, is it? We've got some nice little dense sort of downtown blocks here now with the way it's all grown up. You know, if you don't like an asset, just chip it out, let it regrow. You'll be surprised with some of the vanilla generations that can come in just by sort of specifically choosing mini districts and little types of sizes of zoning. It makes a difference, it really does. Cool, but we created that crawl down now. Use the Hearts of Korea stuff, it's not too bad. I'm pretty sure that wall-to-wall is also going to work very nicely here as well. Specifically wall-to-wall commercial. So I'd like to bring some of that in as well if at all possible. Let's go ahead and create another little mini district here. Do be careful with mini districts. You do have a districts limit on the game that will stop you from placing more districts, so don't put them everywhere. So let's do wall-to-wall commercial here. Okay, so wall-to-wall commercial has got some really nice assets in it. I'm quite keen just to see how they play out in a build like this. Again, we'll get 4 deeps in. Just looking for kind of further connection opportunities here. Nothing's quite aligned, is it? But that's okay. I'm not sure what we're going to do with these out of frame jet. It'll probably be part of the beach build, I imagine. To have some sort of beach props down here. Look at that skyline, though. It's so cool. So good. Okay, yeah, so I want a lot of this wall-to-wall stuff to grow here, which is going to be really good for a downtown as well to have this in from the start. Okay, that blends really nice with the tower, doesn't it? The wall-to-wall is certainly something we want to be including. But I don't want to make these historical. I want them to grow taller. So we'll do that there. And then why don't we see if we can create a little bit of sort of frontage here for a commercial district, a residential district using wall-to-wall again. So let's go ahead and grab the 2-lane grass median. We want road length and angle on for this. Then I'd like to bring it up as close to the road as we can get. Yep, that's going to be perfect. Let's go for that. So I just want to create those new zoning sizes. And then probably up here as well. Cool. Again, we can do the fence pattern there. Just to help those zonings sit better against the vanilla road. Should be okay. There we go, that's better. And then let's do another. I guess we could just do this one, couldn't we? Yeah, let's continue this district down. And then we can just add the wall-to-wall residential district onto this one. As well, wall-to-wall residential. And then let's get a bunch of high-density patterns growing here, so 4 deep that are all going to face out onto our beachfront, which will look really cool. And again, we'll let them grow up a little bit so there's a bit more height to them. Happy with that. And then we can probably do the same here as well. And then that looks like a perfect little spot for a walking pathway, doesn't it? So why don't we do that? We can create a little bit of sort of love in the downtown. Let's do that one. Let's upgrade it to a different tree, maybe a date palm. Cool. And then we can let this grow up. Yeah, so it's these sorts of assets, but it's the level 5 ones. I want the ones that are a little bit taller. So we'll let them grow up. Cool, but we're to get that skyline developed now, aren't we? It's really sort of coming together. Slowly but surely. Oh, we've got some tall boys. Hello, Hearts of Korea. You've grown up quickly, haven't you? Goodness gracious. Best of the shops. Indeed, it is the best of the shops, isn't it? Look at all that. Yes, please. Yes, please indeed, everyone. So, Hearts of Korea is a wonderful addition to a skyline, isn't it? That's going to sit in really nicely there. Yes. Big fan. Big fan of that one. Wonderful. Really blends in those towers behind it as well, doesn't it? Very happy with that. Let's go ahead and drop in some parks for this residential because it isn't growing. So I'm guessing they just want a little bit more love with the services. We have the hospital in the city centre, so we don't need another hospital here. And they have most services. Actually, I think some of the other assets that would work nicely here would be integrating the high capacity schools into the build. And I bet we can do this. You need a pedestrian area? No problem. There you go. Yes, I bet we can place in some of these schools. In sort of these places here might be quite nice. So have the elementary school there. Then we can bring the high capacity high school in, maybe here as well. That sits as a really nice approach now, doesn't it? Look how thick that's gotten already, that skyline. Oh, goodness me. Goodness gracious, everyone. That comes down there. We definitely want to create a little bit of density here. Yes, that's a great corner asset for high density commercial. Perfect. You're really nice as well. Big fan of you. And you are not bad. You can stay for the time being anyway. Get some more shapes in there. Cool. Some more little bits of walkability would be perfect up and down here as well. And don't forget all the unique buildings as well. Don't just, solely construct out of skyscrapers. I don't have too many left that I've actually got unlocked here. But the Science Centre would be a fantastic shout for a build like this. Why don't we see if we can maybe piece this together up and outside of the train station. So if we were to place the Science Centre here, let's go ahead and grab some pedestrian road, and then we'll do a pattern that just sort of comes out each end of it. So it joins up where the edge of the asset starts. That's about level either side, is it? No, it's not. When it comes slightly further in than that. There we go. Then hopefully the Science Centre will actually centralise here. Looks like it might do. Is it going to? No, it doesn't, but it's a lopsided asset, so you can't really tell all that much. We have the Science Centre out as part of our skyline as well, straight outside of the train station there. I don't think that's going to be too bad, is it? And it looks as though we've got some opportunities for some more plazas to sit in here as well. So let's go for a couple of small fountain boys. Let's get those up in there. So we go for a pattern of 3. That's going to be perfect. Let's change the middle one out for a flower plaza. We even alternate the spacings as well if we want. Looks a little weird though. Let's do that one. And then we can maybe get a tree line out there. But it's just going to give sort of a little bit more frontage to the train station. Another unique building there as well to draw tourists into the area. And it's a nice one. And it's going to fit as part of the lower skyline over this side, isn't it? Pretty cool. Happy with that. I do love the approach here for the trains that come into the new skyline. It's very cool. Very cool. However, everyone, this does feel like a good place for a detailing time-lapse. So now we have the main skyline configured. It's all about coming in between them and filling in space as best as we can in vanilla. Just by bringing in various different types of zoning. We can see now the modern mid-century stuff, or modern city centre, sorry, is really kind of playing a part here. Very nice. Actually, probably would have been a wiser idea to rotate modern city centre out with Hearts of Korea and then have them just sort of flipped around. It would have been a much nicer descent, which I might do that in the detailing time-lapse now, seeing it sort of side on. But yes, chisel out any assets that we don't like that have been vanilla. Come in and develop some more plaza space around here. Lots of repeated tree patterns where we do have some of these spaces here. Looks like that would be perfect for perhaps a little park life cafe. That's maybe like it's part of the sort of grounds, if you like, of the tower. Like there's a little sort of bistro, eatery next to the lobby outside before you come in. So we can get lots of assets in and around that, around the downtown. Extend this skywalk if indeed it is appropriate. It's getting a little bit busier now. Do like the aesthetic of people walking just above the roads in and amongst all this density. I think that's a really cool vibe. So yeah, I'll just extend that if and when and where it's possible. And then just let all this kind of waterfront zoning, and that's all level 1 at the minute, just let it grow up, just let the game play. So we get some taller towers through this space. And then more parks, more service assets if needed, and all of our general bits and pieces like bush patterns, tree gardens to help create these little open green spots in and around the downtown itself. But pretty fun builds, these ones, and this is an amazing skyline. I'm a huge fan of this. For those of you going to get an impression from like one of the outer lane suburbs here from New York. What a view that is, right? Should we have a very, very brief look at the nighttime view together before we detail? I think we should, shouldn't we? It'd be weird not to, I think, with the skyline. Oh, goodness me. There we go. Alright, everyone. Let's detail up the second New York downtown. And then we'll be right back. detailing review. So this is possibly my favourite Skyline now, I think. the inclusion of the Skyscrapers content creator pack adds such a different level of realism compared to a vanilla unique building Skyline like we've always done before. And this is just our first attempt using these assets as well. There is a lot of different things happening with these towers, but anyway, let's get into it. Let's stop talking about the towers. So as we come down into the downtown, we're met with some gentle, carefully chosen, low-density commercial, of course. And then lots of these wild hedge, jacaranda and rock gardens just kind of everywhere around the downtown, because without surface painter and perfect, neat side-by-side zoning in vanilla, it's very you end up with a lot of kind of green space left over in vanilla high density. So I think some little gardens like this really help tie it all together. And then we come down into here as well, where we've also extended the pedestrian road out so it serves as a frontage against the rail line. I'm really happy with this. It's really cute. It links back into the pedestrian road at a couple of different locations, where we now have our bus line coming through here as well. Definitely want to get some more buses, actual sort of internal bus lines hooked up into different areas of the city from here, so we can definitely do that. And then these patterns just continue. Did save room as well for just some open green space with some hedging. Don't want trees everywhere. And then we emerge back into that pattern in and around the kind of sightline tower, which is up here now, where we've got some wall-to-wall commercial settled into the pedestrian area, which again I think looks most appropriate. They've got some nice height to them, so happy to have them included in that space. Likewise, there's more over here, where we've also dropped in a sort of pattern plaza area that had to amend ever so slightly because we wanted to have the frontage networks against the rail, and which gives us some really nice opportunities to do different things out here now we've got those roads settled in. And then I think with this space here, where we've got the science centre, I'm going to save this sort of area for maybe a big convention space. I did play about with putting the expo centre in during the detailing time-lapse, but I think this space wants to be its own sort of modular section, if you like, so we'll definitely get some convention vibes happening out here. Maybe get the aquarium down here, a lot of the big kind of expo vibes. And then we cross the road into the Dosen Centre, which is one of the uniques from the Hearts of Korea pack. And I just love this whole network here. Just like this spice sample of the downtown is so cute. Again, just a huge lover of these jacaranda wild hedge gardens everywhere to help murder some open green space, whilst also letting that open green space function as part of the downtown. You know, you can imagine sort of walking through here and you just sort of met with this huge introduction of height, and the downtown you can catch a tram. Looks like there's a sausage up there flying around. What the hell is that? What the hell is a bird? It's a bird. I was like, what the hell is that? It was just like, did you see it? It was like spinning around in circles. That was really confusing. I had no idea what that was. Either way, let's carry on through the downtown. And a note here as well, I've also lined the metro with a date palm pattern, which really helps frame it, where we've got some of these more awkward spaces here. And then what a difference the pedestrian tram road makes to a downtown, right? Just so much wider, so much walking, like a proper pedestrianised downtown district. And we planned our downtown around this road, you know, during the frame last episode. So really happy with it, super cool. And then there's more wall-to-wall action happening over here, including some wall-to-wall residential, which serves as a nice little sort of smaller pop in height as the skyline starts to rise up and up and up and up as you get further and further in. So happy with that. And then again, these spaces here will be kind of split open and developed into those more modular sections along the beach. Thank you for all suggestions last episode. We're definitely going to do a stadium in this part of the downtown. Maybe we can make that part of our convention plaza build here alongside all the airport stuff. And then we've got, of course, a load of beach props now, thanks to modern mid-century. So we can definitely come down here and hopefully make something of a more convincing beachfront one episode. Now we've got these props available to us. So we'll definitely do like a big tourist beachfront at the foot of the skyline here. So all this space will be developed into that, of course. And then when we do have some smaller spaces that won't be developed, again, those content creator tree gardens really do a wonder in just helping to blend areas together. Like we've just got this slightly curved pathway that heads back into the downtown road networks off of the kind of outer arterial shell or casing of the downtown frame. And then our Though elevated skywalk is getting a decent amount of use now. It's not too bad through here. Of course, we'll get busier just as things come in and out of the downtown, but it's definitely getting use. And I've also just amended the way it flows, so it comes under the metro here, and then just comes down right next to the metro station. So that pathway is actually giving them a direct connection sort of into all the high density stuff, rather than having them to walk across all the streets. So it's nice to see that coming into play, and the AI definitely seems to be enjoying it as well. People using the metro also, which is great to get back into from the train station. For which we did show off. Here we go. Yes, some intercity numbers coming in here now on several different platforms, and our airport transfer line here is insanely busy, which is really good. You know, people wanting to get back into from that intercity connection, then they absolutely can. Of course, that takes them across the rest of the map as well. So really highly walkable, considering sort of how I've seen people talk about how many sims these new assets draw in terms of like just tourists per week. We're handling the traffic tremendously well, with all the high density zoning around here as well. Big lover of Hearts of Korea, everyone. We've got a couple of repeated towers in here, although I don't really mind them, the movie box ones, but a really welcome pop of height in vanilla zoning. I think for some of these, really happy with them. They blend into the skyline perfectly. And I've just let the low density residential sort of grow up. There's a couple of different ones coming in here. Now I don't mind this when it's zoned like this. It's quite different, looks a lot more organic, I think. And then we've also dropped in 2 of the vanilla parks next to each other here, and then just interlink them all, just to help form a little bit of kind of walkable, open green belt at the foot of the skyline here. So you can imagine what sort of view you would get kind of sat, you know, walking through this park. It's really cute. I'm super happy with it. And then from down in our little kind of corporate flower garden plaza here, now we're just met with all these Korean assets, new skyscrapers, and just look at the little layers of height here. Just wonderful. So cool. Absolutely love the new towers, everyone. Really huge fan of them. Love the hospital in the downtown as well. That's a great asset for a skyline. Having that in here. It blends in really nicely, I think. I hope so, anyway. And then we'll take a look from some of our suburbs out this way, where we've got really cool view up here now, right, with that kind of finished final finagled skyline. I love how the sightline tower kind of stands on its own as well. I did kind of add in another tower here just for a bit more bulk of the descend here, but I like that. It's kind of natural crawl this side and then drops away, and then single tower over there on the right. And then if we head right back to the start of the city, all the way over here, many moons ago now, we can see that we have, just how far it's come, right? In 11 months, just vanilla city skylines. We started out with this, and now it's just, we've got all these cool new assets and amazing new roads, just tremendously exciting. And there we have the second edition of downtown New York. But otherwise, guys, that is going to do it for today. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Equally as much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. Again, I hope today's kind of flow of consciousness has helped you to configure your high density areas perhaps a little bit more sort of well planned and authentically sort of looking, I suppose. The addition of the new skyscrapers is fantastic. Please do check out Instant Gaming below if you're missing either Skyscrapers or Hearts of Korea, or indeed any other DLC. They're all on there now for super cheap, and it does help support the channel. But yes, I hope sort of starting with a taller building and then piecing slightly smaller ones around that, you start to generate this kind of natural crawl up to a sort of a peak in the skyline. And then there's many different techniques, of course, that we've talked about throughout the series, like greenbelt detailing, specific zoning of commercial and other little assets, and deciding what themes are allowed to be part of it, and what assets themselves from each of those themes are actually allowed to be a part of it again. It's all a bit of a selection process forming these skylines, but I hope you've enjoyed the final product. Please do hang around for your cinematics, but otherwise I will shut up and I will leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching. As always, enjoy the rest of your day.